Welcome to the show that started it all. From the front office to the sidelines and everything happening in between, you are locked into the home of unfiltered opinions and the stories that define the game. Whether it's breaking news, heated debates, or the pulse of the sports world, this is where the bench clears, the noise stops, and the real conversation begins. Welcome to Empty the Bench, only on the Empty the Bench Network. And now, here's Nick Morgasen and Zain Bando.
All right, and away we go on a new era of Empty the Bench. It's a live era. Episode 320. He's Zain Bando. I'm Nick Morgasen. This is a little bit of a change-up since we're so used to recording our shows, but as the rest of the network goes, we are now live. So welcome. The first time you're seeing us, make sure you follow us across our social media platforms at ETB Sports, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at ETB Sports. Follow the Empty the Bench Network at ETB Network, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Make sure you follow our YouTube channel as we continue to climb over the 1,100 subscriber mark. At youtube.com/ETB Network. And we're not doing audio versions at the moment because we're getting used to the live form, but away we go. Zain, how does this feel to be on the live side of things?
It's definitely different, but it's something that we're used to. I mean, I do live streams of Zain Singer Part 2 every single Sunday morning, which shameless plug. If you guys haven't listened to that extended program, which is now unofficially 42 episodes down, please be sure to do that. It'll continue this Sunday as well. Oh, and in fact, there's going to be a change to my Bando's Breakdowns workflow just slightly. Instead of releasing it at episode 100, I did some quick math, and you will actually see Bando's Breakdowns premiere live beginning on Wednesdays, the week of UFC 329. So excited to try something new, and I guess we'll figure out audio in due time because I know there's some people that like to listen to my RSS feeds more specifically. So more on that at a future time. But yeah, definitely different. We have 73 people in here right now. Just to do a few shameless plugs, you can watch this show right now on the different YouTube feeds. Right now it's hooked up to the network YouTube feed and my YouTube feed. But you can also catch us over on the X side of things. It's on the Press Row X account this afternoon or this morning, wherever you may be watching this. It's also on Football Forecast, the ETB Sports Twitter account, of course, the network Twitter account, the Bando's Breakdowns Twitter account, which a lot of things are simulcasted over there to that as well. And of course, my Twitter account as well, which if you haven't followed me, I was scrolling across the screen a minute ago. But of course, I'm at Zain Bando 99, as you can see, and he is N Morgasen Radio. So yeah, it's definitely a new era, but as promised, episode 320 was going to be the first live edition, and here we are. We're not going to try to go too crazy. This show is built for an hour. We do have some wiggle room, but yeah, welcome to the live era, and for those of you who have never seen this before, thanks for stopping by, and please be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. That way you know when we go live every single Wednesday, or every single Tuesday, rather. I had my
No, that's good.
Crossed in a different way. Every Tuesday, rather, at 11 a.m. Eastern. So,
yeah, it's going to be a good show. I mean, we have a lot, and you know what? We have fun doing the show, but it was time to do the show live because most of the network is now live. So, and the views we noticed right off the bat have been significant in a lot of ways. So we want to join the rest of the network and say, hey, we're here. Come watch us. And it was that time. And this is a great episode to be live because we have the NBA Finals, which we're going to get into. A lot of NFL news that happened yesterday between Myles Garrett, AJ Brown, Odell Beckham Jr. and the Giants. So
and just for a little inside baseball, we were supposed to do this yesterday, but in fact, it might have been a blessing in disguise that we waited until today because of all the NFL news.
that's for sure. Also, more from the Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel gate situation, which I, God forbid, wish this story would go away already because it's a big pain in the ass.
It's not, Nick. The mass media is trying to punish you. That's why.
No, probably. No, you're probably right.
No, I'm kidding. But seriously, it needs to go away. I agree.
It's tiresome. Like, it's just, I can't deal with it anymore. Also, we'll get into the whole Jameis Winston delivering a weirdly impassionate speech about the Jaxson Dart-Abdul Carter situation. Because if you remember, Jaxson Dart introduced our, if you want to call him president, at one of his events. Also, Brandon Sorsby and that whole legal situation, which I think is a complete dumpster fire. Also, we'll get into sports media layoffs, which you can relate closely to one of them, even though it's not directly with you, but you can relate to it in some way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was something that I heard about internally, and we'll get into it from as much as I can say about it. But yeah, it was certainly newsworthy enough to where you thought it was good to put it in. So we'll talk about it. Yeah.
And then if we have some time, the Bears situation with their stadium, which you're directly close to.
Just as a nugget here, especially if we end up running out of time, the city of Chicago, in terms of the Bears fan base, let's just say, is very much sitting on eggshells in shock and disappointment if what we believe from a city standpoint is going to happen regarding the inevitable. So we'll get into that a little bit if we have time. We'll more than certainly get into it on episode 93 and there's breakdowns, which is still going to premiere on Fridays. And in fact, that's a perfect segue to say that all the way from now until episode 97 will be the end of the taped era. We will begin the live era with episode 98, which, again, as I alluded to, is the same week as the McGregor-Holloway fight. I thought we would start with 100, but because I know the McGregor traffic is going to be immense no matter where you look that week, it made a little bit more sense to say, hey, let's try to take advantage of maybe getting 1,000 people in the week of the McGregor fight to do my personal McGregor-Holloway preview. We may do some taped stuff for Bando's breakdowns from time to time, but I decided the adjustment from 100 to 98 would make the most sense, and that's what we're going to end up doing, and I'm looking forward to it.
So let's get going. So we're going to start with the NBA Finals. These odds are the updated ones on DraftKings. That's why I put them in. So Spurs are the favorite heading into the NBA Finals. The amount of Knicks bias that I've heard already over the last couple days has been insane. Basically, there's a lot of fans out there who think the Knicks are going to run away with this series. I don't know where the data is to back up the Knicks running away with this series whatsoever. And it's frustrating me because the Western Conference has always been the dominant conference over the last decade when it comes to backing up this data. I understand the Knicks are playing good basketball. I get it. I know they went through sweeps the last couple series, but Victor Wembanyama is the best player in the NBA. He's an unstoppable force. The Spurs have been playing good basketball. Help me out here because everyone is running with the Knicks, and I don't understand it.
Well, I mean, so this is where I kind of lean on this here. It's two teams with very much contrasting playoff paths, if you will. I think you and I can both agree. We were kind of alluding to it last week on episode 319 that the Knicks had a much easier NBA Finals path than the Spurs did. I mean, the Spurs had to knock out the defending champs just to even get to this point. And I think I think actually you're looking at a matchup of very young talent with not a lot of postseason and or NBA Finals experience. It's the first time in over a decade that the Spurs have made the finals, and you're looking at a Knicks team that's been knocking on the door for several years and is finally there. I think it's two totally different teams, and it's hard to quantify whether one runs away with the series or the other. I think both of these teams are very finesse, and that's why I could see this thing going 5, 6, or 7 just because of how much talent there is on both sides. But right now, who is the momentum? And you would agree with this. I think it's San Antonio. And I think there was no better example than that from the way they won Game 7. I was alluding to it on your Game 7 post-game show that you did, that the Thunder just went cold. They could not make a shot in the fourth quarter to keep that thing within arm's length, if you will.
Agreed.
And Victor Wembanyama was just a beast. You want to talk about an early career-defining performance in a Game 7 in that magnitude on the road with everything on the line and essentially everything to lose if they were to have lost that game. That would have been a potential early stain on his legacy. And he goes in and he wins that game alongside his supporting cast. There is no reason why I don't believe that San Antonio doesn't have the momentum, because they do, and it also does help that they have home court advantage in these finals. And I think a lot of people are just refusing to remember that there are more facts to the situation rather than just hard-nosed opinions that make me think that the Spurs are the better team going into these finals. And I know you agree to a certain extent.
How are you defending Wemby? That I understand. Like, the Knicks have been a good defensive team in the playoffs. You're not stopping Wemby. This guy is unbelievable. He can shoot threes. He can play in the paint. He can block shots. And everyone's going to say, oh, let Wemby score 45 points. It doesn't matter what the rest of everybody else does. I think that's such an ignorant take, by the way, that to say, oh, we'll just let Wemby score 45 and we'll guard everybody else. It doesn't work that way. The Knicks and Liam Barwick and I got into a massive fight over the finals on Lounge on Sunday night.
Well, Nick, for those viewers who are new, can you explain what the ETB Lounge is?
Yeah. So ETB Lounge is our bar style sports show on Sunday nights. But because I was saying to him that basically the competition that the Knicks have played against has been minuscule at best. Look at the series they've played, except for the Cavs. Okay, and even though the Knicks completely obliterated the Cavs, and that led to that whole situation.
Yeah. You have to look at the other two series, which were Atlanta and Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, but just to say, because Kenny Atkinson made a huge ass out of himself, saying that they won the series analytically on paper.
Yeah, which is just dumb.
But you know what? Look at the rest of the series, who they played. They played Philadelphia. Do you really think Philadelphia ever had a chance? No,
they just got hot at the right time mid-Boston series because Boston forgot to show up.
Well, Boston, the Celtics choked away the series against.
Right. That's why I'm saying they forgot to show up in the second half of the series to close it out.
Because if I'm not mistaken, the Celtics were up 3-1 in that series and lost the last 3 games, which is insane. But with a not healthy Joel Embiid either.
Yeah, and that's the game where they shot, I think it was under 40% from the field in Game 7, and you and I both agreed that you can't win when you're shooting under 40% from the field.
No, you can't. And that's what's bothering me. Because Liam was saying to me, oh, you can't say that using the excuse to say that they played easy series. Well, what was it? They played easy series to begin the playoffs. You played Atlanta. Were you ever losing to Atlanta? Now,
No.
I know they were trailing in the series against Atlanta, but were they ever losing that series? No.
And sometimes when you have a team that goes to the finals, they will have hiccups. It happens in all sports where there's a Game 7 format in the postseason. You look at every great team ever from any sport, they're always going to have these peaks and valleys early in the postseason that people least expect, and then usually that said better team usually turns it around, and that's exactly what happened this postseason for New York.
And that's my point. People need to hit the brakes a little bit when it comes to the Knicks. I know the Knicks have had an incredible run. They won their last 11 games. They're outscoring people by 20 points or 22 points by average. But the NBA Finals is a completely different animal when it comes to competing. You have to be on your game 1000% of the way to be able to win the NBA Finals. And the
I
Spurs are
mean, Nick, you could make the same argument for the Spurs too, because even though the Spurs look like they're the better team, they still have to know, yeah, we have to take care of business at home because
yes.
if we don't, it could be a longer series than what we want it to be, and they don't want to run the risk of not winning the series on their home floor. So,
But I just find it laughable across all sports talk radio, which I listen to a lot of different forms of sports talk radio, podcasts, whatever. And everyone's saying the Knicks are going to win this series easily.
no, they won't.
And I'm like, come on.
If they do, it's going to be dragged to a game 6 or 7 scenario where it's going to be a must win spot for them. I don't see them winning it easily. I think these two teams are very talented, and I think the people who are saying this, and I could be wrong in saying this, but based on the research that I've done, the internal research that I've done, these seem to be very, and I'm not going to name names specifically. These seem to be very, very pro, like kind of. I don't want to say pro Eastern, anti Western conference, but that's what it seems to feel like to me. I don't.
Oh, no,
I
it's bias. Let's just call a spade what it is. Excuse me. That you have a lot of fans, a lot of Knicks fans who are clamming and desperate because they haven't been to the finals since 1972 or 73, actually.
Well, no, they haven't. No, they haven't won it. The last time they were in it was
You're
99.
right. Excuse me. The last time they won was 1973. They haven't been to the finals since 1999, which ironically was against the Spurs.
And was ironically the year I was born. So there you go. I just revealed my age for people who didn't know. So,
but my point is, you haven't been to a final since 1999. People are acting like this is going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. Let's calm down on that the Knicks are going to run away with this series. You have to defend
who
Wemby.
knows? It may not even be a better series than what the 99 series was. You never know.
Well, the Spurs ran away with that series also. But my point is, the de facto NBA Finals, in my opinion, was OKC and the Spurs.
Nick, I'm going to go one step further. It was our opinion. We both mutually agreed on that.
Yes. But I kept saying, like, there's not going to be a better series than that.
Which I think so far you're right. I don't think there has been.
Because everyone's going to be hyped, okay? Because the Knicks are in. Mike Brown has done an incredible job as the head coach, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Mike Brown as a head coach. LeBron ran him out of Cleveland twice, if you remember.
I do. Although the first time I wasn't really watching basketball, but the second time I remember for sure. Yep.
And by the way, people say, oh, well, Mike Brown's got 3 rings. Well, he was an assistant under Steve Kerr with Golden State. That's why he's got 3 rings. But
right. So you're saying that to an extent, Nick, that potentially he gets more credit than he deserves, probably.
At least for that run where people say he has 3 rings. Yeah, Steve Kerr is the one that deserves all the credit. And Lakem, Joe Lakem and the ownership deserve credit for bringing in all the players to Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, Mike Brown's got coaching experience, but this roster was way better. Now, people are going to say, and the reports have been that Tom Thibodeau is pissed because this team finally made it to the NBA Finals. But Thibodeau ran his team into the ground and only played 8 players.
Well, to be fair, he kind of did the same thing in Chicago when Chicago was heavily relying on Derrick Rose.
Well, and Minnesota, he ran them into the ground.
Yeah.
Too. So let's hit the brakes when it comes to Tom Thibodeau, because Tom Thibodeau, in my opinion, is not a good head coach. In my opinion,
well, he may. Well, I would correct you and say that he's a good coach, but he's not a good in-game manager when it counts.
He exhausts his players to the end of no energy either.
Right. Well, that's just bad in-game management, though. because it's not his basketball IQ. It's everything else around it when he tries to play his cards a little bit too hard because he thinks he can and tries to get a different result, and it never happens.
I think he ruined Derrick Rose's career, though, by not taking him off the court in a blowout game.
Partially, yes, I do think so, because could you imagine, and I know this is a sidebar conversation, but could you imagine what would have happened that year against Philadelphia if he does, in fact, get taken out? I think the series is totally different.
Agreed. But long story short, because we're going to make official predictions because the finals start tomorrow. So I think the Spurs conservatively, because the NBA finals are tough to say someone's going to run away with it fully, but I have the Spurs in 6. I think the only way the Knicks are going to have any chance in this series, they got to split the first 2 games.
Well, I'm just going to say this. I think the Spurs will be up 2-1 after 3 games.
If that's the case, then the Knicks are not going to win the series. If
I don't think so either. I'm going to say Spurs win 4-2, winning the NBA Finals in New York to cap off the season.
Like I said, if the Knicks don't split in San Antonio, I just don't see a path to winning the NBA Finals.
I don't either, and it also doesn't help that games 3 and 4 are at MSG as opposed to games 1 and 2. Because even though my prediction of the Spurs winning wouldn't change, the order in which the series would go back and forth probably would. I would say, because I think if the roles were reversed, which they're obviously not going to be, I would say the opposite happens, where the Knicks maybe win game 1, but in hindsight of that, I'm in agreement with you. I think the Spurs win in 6, and I definitely think, if I were to go out on a limb right now, I would say the Spurs win game 1 to protect home court.
Yeah, especially, and this whole argument about rest versus rust, I think, is stupid. By the way,
it's the NBA Finals. You got to be up. You can't be worried about, if we didn't have this guy, we'd win. It doesn't matter. You're in the pinnacle of the postseason. You can't. All the other stuff, all the stuff that happened before it, all the extra nonsense, it's thrown out the window. You have 7 games potentially to win it, and you have to, as an old school NFL coach used to say, John Madden used to say this all the time when he was with the Raiders, you have to take the guys that you have and go win.
Exactly.
That's all it is. And the same can be said for the Knicks. They can't worry about any of these outside distractions, what the New York media thinks, whether the New York media thinks that the Knicks will blow out San Antonio, which is what the potential narrative is out there, or if it's the opposite. They have to go and worry about what they can control, which is winning as many games as they can to put themselves in position to try to win an NBA championship. Regardless of who wins this title, I think it's going to be resilience and resolve are going to be the 2 things that's going to separate the winner from the loser in this one. And I just think the Spurs have much more momentum, and I think the youthfulness on their side is going to be the reason why they win it. So my official prediction is Spurs in 6, close it out in New York, and it's a potential start of a dynasty. I think there'll be a Western Conference contender alongside OKC for many, many years to come, and I think the Knicks will too. But this was certainly their best championship window, and unfortunately, if they lose this one, I think they're gonna have more rebuilding to do than people realize. So,
yeah, I agree. And also, I forgot to bring this up. Also, Mitchell Robinson with the pinkie injury, which I think people are overreacting to slightly.
is he questionable?
No, he's going to play. He's already confirmed he's going to play.
Okay.
But I think like Stephen A overreacted on First Take, saying that this was going to affect the entire series, his pinkie injury. Now,
this is the problem, and I can't agree with Stephen A here, because what I think people forget, and I'm sure you agree to this to an extent, the fundamental purpose of this and of this entire narrative, or however you want to quantify it, is regardless of if Mitchell Robinson is healthy or not, which we obviously know he's going to play, but even if he didn't play, The problem that I have is even if he's out, you still have to rely on whatever other core you have. You have to rely on making sure your bench is deep enough. Number two, and again, it goes back to my other point. You can't control deliverables that just aren't in your that just aren't in your possession to control. You can try to get Mitchell Robinson as healthy as you want to, but but there's no guarantees that Mitchell Robinson will look 100%. And even if he's obviously saying he's going to play, like this is the part where I don't, and I used to when I was younger because I was a lot more into the fan centric thing. But now I've learned you can't just rely on one player to say, "Oh, if this guy was healthy, we would have we would have won." It's an excuse that to me in sports overall just needs to go away. And I think Stephen A's argument where it could derail the series. You could think that, but knowing that people know Stephen A's track record and stuff, there's got to be other ways you can back it up and say, but yeah, here are other ways where the Knicks could counter that and ensure that they will make the series interesting. Because I just think now with this whole, I'm just gonna say this whole hot take culture, people forget that sometimes it's not all about one player to carry your team. And I think this is the exact same scenario here. And I'm sure to an extent you probably feel similarly, but I'm curious to hear or what you think. I'm just tired of people defending things that they have no control over is my overall point.
Well, this injury, I get it. It is a significant injury. Let me say that. Number one, even though it's a pinky injury and people are laughing about it, you have to remember, what is Mitchell Robinson's role? He's not a scorer, okay? So every time you put him out there, you're automatically 4-on-5 when you're playing. But a pinky injury could affect his rebounding, or it could affect him playing defense on a guy like Victor Wembanyama. I'm not saying that it's not significant, but he's going to wrap the pinky up, and he's going to be able to play. But I think Stephen A being a Knick fan first, he forgets over that he's doing a big time show. And I think he needs to realize that it's one injury and you really need to focus on playing defense, scoring, staying together as a franchise, and being able to play against a team that's better than you. If you're going to let all the noise get in the way, then you're going to lose. And you're going to lose badly if you're going to let the noise take over. So
that's well said.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, let's move away from the finals. It's NFL news dump season. So yesterday was, would you say, probably an incredible day for the NFL for the first time as we head into the summer?
Yeah, it's June 1st, and the NFL reminded everyone and reminded all American sports fans why it remains king, because it was blockbuster after blockbuster. I put it all in one banner here to make it a little bit more concise. I didn't do it in order of importance, which is what I should have done, but three massive pieces of news on Monday, with arguably the biggest one being this Myles Garrett trade to the Rams from the Browns. And of course, this is just another footnote in Browns history where everything that could go wrong in Cleveland continues to go wrong. And this is just another example of it. And this is no disrespect to Jared Verse whatsoever, but man, having Myles Garrett in exchange for Jared Verse, I think the Browns lost pretty poorly, to be honest with you. There's no other way to look at it from the Browns side of things is, oh, we really let the best defensive player we've had in the entire history of the new Browns essentially walk. Will the Rams instantly become potential NFC contenders, let alone Super Bowl contenders in the same day? So
I mean, this is wild. I mean, looking at the Myles Garrett trade, can we call out Cleveland Browns for the pathetic organization that they are? Because this team, when is the last time this team had any success? Okay, and I know what you're going to say.
I mean, if we're not going to count the 2020 season, we have to go all the way back to the old Browns in like the 1980s. I mean, they haven't been good in a long time.
I mean, it also goes to show you, because people say, "Oh, Kevin Stefanski being 2-time Coach of the Year in Cleveland." I think, first of all, he didn't get enough credit for the time being in Cleveland.
No, he didn't.
But at the same time, it goes to show you how effed up the organization is in Cleveland that they get a Hall of Famer in Myles Garrett, and they can't build around this guy whatsoever to build a potential playoff team. The offense stinks. Their quarterback situation is a nightmare. They don't have any wide receivers. I mean, if you're going to tell the whole Shadur Sanders situation in Cleveland is a joke. Okay, he's more worried about the license money that he's making off the field, which I think they said he was the highest license money, like $18 million, over guys like Patrick Mahomes and all those other guys.
I mean, Nick, can you really blame Shadur Sanders though for kind of hinting that he doesn't really want to be in Cleveland? Because let's be honest, who really wants to be in Cleveland at this point? I mean, there's really no upside.
First of all, in my opinion, Shadur shouldn't have been drafted at all, in my opinion. But
really, okay.
I don't think he's an NFL-made quarterback at all. And I get it. The Browns are a terrible organization. You really think Shadur Sanders is going to lead that team to the promised land? No.
No way.
First of all, I don't think the next coming a god would lead the franchise for the Browns. It would take God, Jesus, everybody to come down and make the Cleveland Browns a playoff team again.
Well, Nick, not to slight you, but I think you would say something awfully similar about your favorite team, though, right?
Oh, yes. No, I'm not disagreeing with that. But I'm just saying that this is the Browns being the Browns all over again, where I get it. They got Jared Verse, which, by the way, what do you think Jared Verse is thinking today? Oh, I was on a Super Bowl contending Rams, and now I'm traded to one of the worst teams in the NFL.
And I gotta go play in cold weather every single week in a very, very difficult, let's just call a spade, using your terminology, not mine, a very difficult AFC North. A very, very challenging AFC North with three teams that, when healthy, are bad blood, old school hard-hitting teams, especially Pittsburgh and Cincinnati.
But let's look at the trade really quick. So obviously the Rams get Myles Garrett. The Browns get Jared Verse, a 2027 first-round pick, a 2028 second-round pick, and a 2029 third-round pick. So this is the Browns just building on draft capital again. But how many times are you going to keep building on draft capital and not compete?
I mean, Nick, to be fair, they haven't competed for over 20 years. So are we really surprised?
Right, but this is like I could use a baseball terminology here. This is the Florida Marlins. How many times are you going to keep rebuilding draft capital and not compete?
Well, even a brand change to Miami didn't work.
No, I agree. But I'm saying, remember after 2003, when the Marlins won the World Series, okay? They have not been back since. Okay? And they keep they bring guys up through their system, and then they become too expensive, and then they end up on bigger teams. Okay? And same thing with the Browns. People don't want to be on the Browns because they know they're never going to win. The Browns should be removed from the NFL. They're one of the worst franchises I've ever seen run. And the Haslam family is a joke. Tell me where I've stuttered, because so far I don't think I have.
I don't think you have. I mean, the boldest thing you've said so far in this episode is that the Browns should be removed from the NFL. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but the fact of the matter is that they continue to stink.
The Haslam family does not know how to run an organization at all. You sign a guy for $300 million guaranteed as your quarterback, and he's never going to play for your franchise.
Nick, you know it's bad when the Bears have more upside right now than the Browns do.
No, I don't know about that, but can we all admit that Deshaun Watson is probably the biggest failure for the Haslam family when it comes to that organization?
Yeah.
How do you can't get around it. you're stuck. In every way, shape, or form, you're stuck with $300 million that you can't move.
Right.
So, you know what? It's just another miserable day for Cleveland Browns fans, which is par for the course. Come join us over on the New York Jets point of views. We can tell you how sad it is to be a fan of your franchise. But
That's well said.
on the other side of things, you have the A.J. Brown deal, which we all were expecting at some point.
Right.
But the way it went down is kind of bizarre that the news just broke out of nowhere. And by the way, Diana Rossini's name was trending right after that deal broke. Did you see that?
I did, yeah. Well, for obvious reasons.
But so the A.J. Brown trade happens. He ends up with the Patriots, which Ben Cruz is probably yelling and screaming in the rooftops right now.
Oh, Ben Cruz in our internal chat has been ecstatic for a couple for let's just say the last 15 hours or so. He's been very excited.
So the Patriots get A.J. Brown. The Eagles get a 2028 first-round pick, 2027 fifth-round pick, and I think just some other compensatory stuff. But I don't think the Patriots really gave up that much to get A.J. Brown. No?
I don't really think so either. But what is interesting though about this is just how much of a foreshadow there was back in the wintertime after the Super Bowl, where people started to speculate, oh, is AJ Brown going to go to New England as early as the week after they lost to Seattle, and sure enough, we're here on Tuesday, June 2nd, and it's now a reality. It's just crazy how things work out sometimes.
You know what, though? That whole situation was toxic in Philadelphia, where Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown were never on the same page. I mean, you knew it was bad this offseason when Jalen Hurts was not invited to A.J. Brown's wedding.
Yeah, that's not good news.
And by the way, A.J. Brown is an incredible wide receiver. People don't give him enough credit. And
he is, but he needs to fix his character flaws, though. You can't
ego.
Right. I'm saying you can't be sitting on the bench disengaged with your teammates during a playoff game. You can't do it.
His ego is uncontrollable. I can't figure out why. And it probably has to do with that he just was not happy in Philadelphia. But that was a great situation. First of all, and I said this on Lounge on Sunday night also, I think Jalen Hurts is an overrated quarterback.
Oh, you do? Okay.
And people are going to say, but Nick, why?
What makes you say that?
He hasn't won anything. Number one.
What do you mean? They won the Super Bowl.
Okay, but I don't think that was fully because of him, though.
Okay, so who would you give the credit to for that Super Bowl then?
I would say his weapons. I would say that he has to have good weapons because he's not winning games by himself.
Do you think his defense is partially the reason why they won? Because they destroyed that Kansas City offensive line for the entire game.
Mahomes got embarrassed in that game, big time. Defense won that game. Jalen Hurts did not win that game. But you know what? You also have a Saquon Barkley who's now not healthy either, which is also part of that equation. I don't know. They needed AJ Brown, and that relationship just soured over time. How do we look at the Eagles now without AJ Brown? Because that's significant.
Well, the division is still very shaky. They might win it, but they may not be very, very good. They may be a fringe 9 or 10 win team now without him.
I don't think they're going to win 9-10 games without him.
Really? You don't think so?
I mean, when I look at that division, I still think the Eagles are the best team. But look at the rest of the competition as it continues to grow. Now, I guess we could transition this into also the Giants since we're talking about the Eagles. But look at all the moves the Giants made. Now, I'm not saying the Giants are a good team. Let me be very clear about that.
I don't mean to divert just for a second, but I'm taking a glance at the Eagles' schedule. It is not an easy schedule by any stretch of the imagination at all. You get the Rams at home, you get the Bears on the road. The Commanders games are going to be tough. You get a Pittsburgh team where you're not sure how they're going to be. You get a Dallas team where you're unsure by that point in the season if they're going to be healthy. There's a lot of question mark games to where there'll be a fringe playoff contender, or they might miss it by week 17 or 18.
True. First of all, I don't think the Commanders are anything, to be quite honest. They haven't proven to be anything. So until Jayden Daniels shows me anything.
Well, Nick, to be fair, they just made it to the NFC Championship game 2 years ago, though.
I know, but Jayden Daniels looked like a shell of himself last year.
Yeah, but do we really think he was 100% last year, though?
I'm saying that I don't think he can protect himself in the pocket.
Okay.
That's what worries me, that offensive line is going to get him killed out there. And then he uses his legs, and I think opposing defenses are catching on to that he's using his legs. Same thing with Lamar. That's why Lamar didn't have success and got hurt, because people are finally catching on to Lamar because he was using his legs and they adjusted.
Right, which is the same thing that happened to Michael Vick, basically.
Well, Michael Vick eventually had to learn that he needed to throw the ball somewhat.
Yes, I'm saying though he learned it way too late in his career. That's the thing.
And the thing is, a decade ago, the running quarterback was a thing. All of a sudden, the running quarterback is the thing again. Like, I don't understand why, because the defenses are bigger, stronger in that scenario. But I don't know, man. It's just, I think the Eagles will be fine, but I think they'll win 9 games, maybe. And I could see the Eagles kind of pull back slightly, not having AJ Brown, not having that top wide receiver threat.
Fair. So to kind of go back to the original conversation we were on with the Giants signing Odell Beckham Jr., I'm just going to give my 2 cents. I don't even think it remotely matters that he's back with the Giants.
This is not the Odell Beckham Jr. of the early 2010s.
No, it's not.
I think people need to calm down.
This is similar to well, this is before I started watching the NFL, but I've done enough research. This is like, well, it's not the same thing, but it's eerily similar. So you'll see where I'm going. It's like when I should just say it. It's like when the Commanders signed Bruce Smith. He was going to be the same Bruce Smith that he was a decade earlier, and even though he got the sack record, he really wasn't this. And he was just out there collecting paychecks and not really caring. So,
agreed.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, I think people need to just hit the brakes on the Giants. A lot of these signings, so like Odell Beckham Jr., Juju Smith-Schuster, Braxton Berrios, the 3 guys they signed yesterday, that was all what I like to call John Harbaugh signings.
Well, Juju Smith-Schuster, I still think the jury's kind of out on him still.
Yeah, but is Juju Smith-Schuster signing with the Giants if John Harbaugh isn't there?
No. Absolutely not.
Is Braxton Berrios signing with the Giants if John Harbaugh's not there?
No.
The only one that would have signed with the Giants without John Harbaugh was Odell Beckham Jr. That's it.
Well said. By the way, shout out to the 150 people in here. You guys are absolute loyalists, and thanks for letting us ramble for almost an hour. We have a really good audience contingent today for the first official weekly live stream of the show. So shout out to you guys for helping us hold down the fort. You guys are fantastic.
But I'll say one more thing, and then we got to keep moving because we spent a lot of time on these first couple of topics. But the Giants are not going to go anywhere this season.
Think so either.
They're great signings. Don't get me wrong.
I'm just going to say this. I think the NFC East division is the worst division in football going into this season, and I don't even think it's remotely a question.
And I think the Cowboys are going to be a much better team this year since they redid their offensive line and defensive lines. I think.
Yeah, I'm going to say Dallas. If they don't win it, they'll come in second for sure, I think.
So I think they're going to make a run. And by the way, the Giants have a massive problem with Malik Neighbors, who's probably going to miss a bunch of times because they had to go back in on his surgically repaired leg and remove scar tissue.
Yeah, that's not good news. I feel bad because he's a very dynamic player, and it's really unfortunate to see what's happened to him. And I'm sure you'd agree to an extent.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll see what happens. All right, moving on to someone you know decently well.
Okay,
CRISSY Fryoyd. Uh, so she came out again. Now, in case people don't know who CRISSY FROYD is, she was the one from USA Today, working as a freelancer.
Yeah, for the USA Today wider divisional sites, but yes.
And she came out and basically went scorched earth. Is that the best way to put it on Diana Rossini?
I would say so. Yeah, that's probably a very simple way to put it.
And now she's coming out again, and I think this is even more damning, that saying that I was fired for exposing the NFL's dirtiest sex secret. Now I'm revealing everything and naming names. Now, full disclosure, you know her a little bit, right?
A little bit, not to a great extent, but I know her a little bit. We never worked directly together or anything, but I've known of her work for several years. So,
What do you make of her just going completely scorched earth, like times two?
I mean,
Now,
I'm not her. She can handle this however she wants, but I think it's very interesting that she's using her, and I mean this in a good way. I think it's very interesting that she's using her brand. I'm just going to say it, that she's built up over the years and cultivated a lot of people who follow her and stuff, to reveal some of the sides of sports media that people don't really like to talk about or know the best course of action in ways to talk about it. So, from that standpoint, I can't blame her. From other standpoints, though, it's very, I'm just, as an outsider entirely, I have nothing to do with any of this. It's very, very, very interesting. I'll, I'll just say that, like, the twists and turns of his story are fascinating to say the least. So,
I mean, I'm on her Twitter account right now, and some of the stuff she is saying is insane. Some of it, like
okay,
it's a little out of pocket for a journalist, I will say,
okay,
or you would say. Remember how you and I have a conversation about how journalists should act when it
okay.
comes
Let
to,
me,
like, she's making jokes about inappropriate body parts on Rossini in a lot of ways. But I get it. I know why she's upset. I totally understand why she's making some of these comments, but I think she needs to realize that if she wants to keep a job in journalism, she can't say some of these things. Right?
yeah, to an extent, you are not wrong. Obviously, I don't know her in that way, and I don't, I mean, what she writes on her socials is her business, but
No, but I'm talking about strictly from a perspective of a journalist, which she's claiming to be.
well, I mean, I'm just gonna say this, and this isn't to rub anyone the right way or the wrong way. Some of the things she's tweeting, I personally would not go
But
there.
do you agree with me from the standpoint of acting as a journalist, which she's making it clear a million times that I'm a journalist and I'm doing my job, that you can't say some of these things.
Yeah, to an extent, there are some things that she has put out that I don't think you should say. That doesn't mean she can't say them. But if I were in her shoes, there'd be some things that I would dial back on. If I was in a remote similar situation to that,
So
which I'm obviously not.
there
So,
was now you and I had talked about this when the story came out originally, that she had her own skeletons in the closet a little bit, supposedly too. And you remember the relationship that she apparently had with JT Daniels?
yeah.
So some accounts are calling her out and saying, like, hey, like, this is ironic considering you were doing stuff behind the scenes to get information. And she quote tweeted somebody and said the reason the relationship with JT Daniels ended was because of him being physically and mentally abusive. And then, of course, she had to say on top of him being homosexual, she wrote.
Interesting. Well, she's gone on record multiple times to say that there were things that happened in that relationship, which I don't really know anything about it other than what's publicly out there. But she has gone on the record several times to say that there were several reasons as to why the relationship ended, and she's taken a very firm stance on all of it. And obviously, I don't know the extent of it, but again, as I said a minute ago, from an outside standpoint, it's very interesting to just kind of watch and observe what's actually happening here with this whole saga because I don't know. I don't know. It's very I don't know. Let's just say this from a media standpoint and from the things that I do and from the things that a lot of other people do. We're living in a very very interesting time where some people are very open about what they say and others just simply are not.
But I think
So,
she's a little ignorant from the standpoint of where all the articles are saying she's being quoted as saying, "I lost my job for attempting to blow the lid on the NFL's open secret." Sometimes there are times to break stories, and sometimes you have to know not to do certain things, right?
oh right, and there are several things that I'm tipped on that I know I can't say or do, and I have to keep it to myself for reasons that only I know make sense to keep it to myself. And then there are other reasons, there are other things where I just go and I run with it because I know it's what's supposed to happen, and I've learned to be cognizant of that. And some people understand that, and other people don't. I think to an extent she does know that. Do I think she's going a little bit too far in some areas? Yeah, I'll be the first to openly admit that I do think it has gotten a little bit strange from time to time over the last several weeks.
Well, the one thing I will say, just for example's sake, how many times have you told me, because you cover the UFC in a major way, how many times have you said to me, I can't share news even though I get it?
A lot.
So I'm just saying that the reason I'm comparing is because she's just flapping her mouth at times, and she doesn't realize that she could almost take down the NFL or
Yeah,
take down.
I mean, if she goes three steps this way, in a metaphorical sense, bad things could occur. Obviously, we don't know, but when you're on thin ice, if you will, a freedom of speech, not a freedom of speech, but a freedom of expression, sort of, if you will. It's kind of a double edged sword, and that's where things can kind of get a little murky. I don't know.
And that's what I'm getting at. So what happens? Because again, we still don't have 100% resolution on the Rossini Vrabel scandal. As much as Vrabel has come out and admitted there's some working on his relationship with his wife and the whole Diana Rossini situation. Say it comes out that the accusations are not true. Okay. I'm not saying whether they are or they aren't.
You're saying it's hypothetical if it comes out that the accusations are false, right?
Yeah. So what happens? Because she's saying all these things. Okay. What happens if Diana Rossini turns around and says, I'm suing you for
Mm,
reputation?
it's not good news, and it's a situation that she's gonna have to handle it. But it certainly is gonna change the way that people view her, I think, in a lot of different respects.
And the
But
thing
that
is, you want to, and this is why I think CRISSY Freud will never get a full time job in this business, because I don't think she knows the difference between breaking news and hurting somebody's potential life in that way.
I don't know if I'd go that far because she's been in the business a long time, but I think she certainly has made her chances of having a clean slate be much more unlikely. But again, this is all from an outside standpoint. Is based on what she does. I don't really know of her in a way to where I know everything that's going on with her, but it certainly seems to me like I don't know. It's all very interesting and unique. I think if I were her, and this is just my 2 cents on it, is eventually, I mean, if she wants to go and say all the things she's saying, more power to her to an extent. But I think she's better off doing it in an independent way rather than representing multiple companies at a time. And of course, that's her decision. She can choose to do what she wants to do, but that's my 2 cents on it. And if I were her, that's what I would be pushing for, because it's clear she's built a following and a name on a national scale. Why not try to hone it all in and own your own IP and all that way anything that comes from you is owned by you and you alone. That's how I would view this entire situation.
I mean, I don't know if you saw also she called out Sean Payton also, which she's looking to call out everybody. My point is, I understand where she's coming from, and we live in a sports media society now where we're quick to break things before we know they're accurate when it comes to certain sports stories. You would agree with that on some aspect, right? That
On some aspect, but in the beats that I cover, the college and the MMA beat, I don't really see too many things that are broken before they're officially not before they're officially announced, but I don't see too many things that are broken before multiple legitimate sources come out and say, yeah, this is a real possibility.
wait a minute. You're telling me you don't see people on social media try to break things before they're supposed to?
Well, no, I'm saying from a fake account standpoint they do, but from real legitimate journalists, no.
I
I
would I would
think
say
I,
the
I think if there are 6 or 7 real legitimate journalists that tweet, "Hey, X is fighting X," then I think that's more than appropriate because they're doing what they're supposed to do. If they have multiple sources, they can go and report it.
I would
So
say the aggregators are the biggest problem though.
yeah,
Today also?
yes, that is correct. Those are the aggregators that choose not to credit. But the
And
ones but the ones who do are very well respected aggregators though. So it
well,
all kind of is a double-edged sword in that regard too. I would much rather go to, just from an MMA standpoint, to championship rounds that is thousands and thousands of followers
yeah.
rather than an account that was made 4 days ago, has 80 followers and is just posting fake fight news all day.
Ugh,
So
you and I have seen multiple fake fight accounts. Or my favorite in the NFL, the Dove Kleeman account, which is not even a real person, in my opinion. It's like just some aggregator person just posting stuff. But people take his stuff as gospel, which is what makes me laugh. You know what I mean?
well, doesn't he work for Bro Bible or does he work for himself now?
All I know is that his account should be shut down because he sold the account to somebody.
Which you can't do.
Right. It's illegal. You can't do that. It's in the Twitter rules. You're not supposed to do it. But my point is, I think she needs to be a little careful from a legal standpoint, that you just got to be careful what you say because you might not get another opportunity in this industry if you talk this way.
Which is a very difficult industry to be fair, and I think a lot of people are going through the difficult nature of it. So it's all very interesting. And again, as I alluded to just a minute ago, if she took all of this stuff that's happened over the last several weeks and all the attention she's gotten, and she funneled it into just one independent venture, I think she would be very successful because there are people that are massive followers of hers that I think would catch on and subscribe to what she did. As I said, this new thing now, this creator-led industry now, wherein I'm even noticing it myself for some of the things I do. More people are interested in the creator themselves than they are for the places where
I
they
agree.
actually do content for. So
I
I don't
agree.
know.
It's more about the name than it is about the platform.
Right.
Look at all the people that have started individual ventures. Colin Cowherd with the volume is a big one that I look at. Pat McAfee, even though he's with ESPN, it's a licensed venture of his own show. There's so many that now do their own work because they don't need the platform anymore. You could go out with your name and your following and create your own platform, which I think Diana Rossini will eventually do when she resurfaces.
Right. And
But
I would argue I've sort of done that myself to where everything funnels back to my social medias and all that stuff. And I'm always posting content not just for me, but for the shows I do
yeah,
too. I think very much what I do is creator led. It's not on the scale that any of those people do, but I'm starting to realize that the creator led route is the only way to go because we know eventually that not all of these legacy brands are going to eventually go away. So you have to stay as current as you possibly can. So
all right,
I don't
let's
know.
move on.
It's interesting though, and in fact, it's actually a good segue. Yeah, I may even spend a little bit of time at the beginning of my next episode talking about this because I think we're living in an age where the media industry is continuing to shift on a day-to-day basis, and some people don't even realize it.
Well,
So,
let's talk about that topic next. So the sports media landscape is in trouble. We were just talking about that. And Sports Illustrated and Yahoo Sports are going through layoffs. Now, I'll let you talk about what you can first about the Sports Illustrated stuff. I know you got to kind of lay the thin line a
yeah,
little bit.
I gotta be a little bit careful. So For those who are curious, I'm still with SI in the On Sports Illustrated division. I want to make that very clear. This had everything to do with the national SI footprint and not the SI footprint that's underneath it. In regards to the minute media on SI scope. So if I'm wondering, oh Zan, are you still writing for MMA Knockout, or are you still writing for the Ohio State site? The answer is yes. It had everything to do with the the national venture that full-time SI employees had, not the one where it's me and I'm contracted out to do specific work for those verticals. So I just wanted to make that clear. There's not really much more I can say from I guess an industry standpoint, because it didn't impact me, but that was made very clear to me in several conversations. So I just wanted to make it clear that I'm still working for those two entities within the on-SI division, and it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the national side. So
see, I have a problem with what's going on in the industry currently, where if you saw some of the national guys that got fired
they were
by
some huge names.
Greg Bishop,
huge names that got let go.
Greg Bishop has been around SI for almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head who was part of the layoffs, but let's see if I can find. Oh, here it is. So Greg Bishop, Michael Rosenberg, Stephanie Epstein, who, by the way, she was 8 days away from 15 years.
I did see her tweet. That is absolutely devastating. 8 days away. That is, I mean, hey, don't get me wrong, 15 years or potentially 15 years would have been a long time, but to do it right at the milestone or as the milestone is coming to a close is so disappointing. So
she was a great baseball writer at SI, by the way. Mike McDaniel, who not
Mike
the one
McDaniel is a surprise because he covered everything and more, particularly most of the major NFL stuff and college too.
And then Bob Harrig and John Schwab, who basically controlled the golf vertical.
Yeah, they were basically the entire golf vertical. Yeah.
But the way this industry is, and you know this, and it's not, I think hopefully you'll agree or at least understand where I'm coming from. The journalistic part of the industry is unfortunately starting to decline.
Oh, it is. And I've noticed it for the last year and a half to 2 years. And I've been writing articles since July of 2019. And it hasn't gone in waves. It's gone one direction and one direction only. And that's down. And it's for several reasons. And it's mainly all due to, well, the several Google Core updates, which there's going to be a new one that's going to really, really hurt the industry. That's number one. And number two, you and I have had several off-air conversations about this, but a lot of these major websites just have not figured out that video vertical is just as important, if not more important, than the actual written part.
Now, I'm not going to say one of the conversations we had out loud because you know which one I'm talking about.
No,
but that is an example of how sites don't understand digital output. And it's not just that site. It's a bunch of sites that don't understand that writing does not pay the bills anymore. It doesn't. If I was running a site today, I would do all digital video content as the de facto posts every day. Writing people don't want to sit and read long form articles anymore, right?
I mean, from what I've noticed, the shorter the article is, the longer retention time you have.
But
the longer it is, the more likely that people are going to click off of it.
But would you say also a big problem is a lot of these sites where people write, they want 40 short articles, it feels like, a day sometimes. And
for some sites, it does feel that way, yeah.
And I feel like that's backwards in today's industry. People don't want to read. They want to be able to take their phone, open up a social media app, whether that's Twitter or Instagram or TikTok.
And swipe until they find
the video
something.
that they want to watch.
Yeah.
You can't swipe on a written article. You
No,
just can't.
no, you can't.
And I feel like the way this industry is going, and it's like you said before, look at what we're doing here. Everything is video. And
Well,
we're
you were the well. I'm going to give you credit here, and this is a public thank you. You were the one that introduced me to the video vertical to begin with. If you recall.
no, and I appreciate that. But I think that, and I said to you when you first started, because full disclosure, we had a website and a blog a while back, but we knew that was never going to help us.
I was the de facto editor for about 5 months until we realized this was a terrible idea.
But what did we do? We pivoted, and now we're doing a ton of video in the process of it, and it's starting to help and work. And we're growing the way we need to. We're starting to gain those watch hours. I could tell you alone, in Nate's show last night, by the way, our newest show, Give and Takes, that Nate Miller was doing.
Awesome debut episode, unofficially episode 12. He did great.
I can tell you, and for us, this is a big number. To some people, it's not going to matter because we're smaller and we're growing. We gained 10 watch hours from his show last night.
That's good. As a group where we grind on this channel almost every day, I think that's important.
And the post game show thing I did, 1,500 views on YouTube after Game 7. We gained like 25 watch hours from that video. That's where the industry is going. YouTube, hybrid, live podcasting is where this industry is going.
And Instagram, X, and TikTok clips after the fact, after everything is over.
Right. No one, and I think that's why you're pivoting more to the video side and more doing like little clips and things that you're doing here when the football season comes back. Bando's Blitz for the NFL season,
which is a staple. It's a segment that people love. It has a record. It has a whole format to it. I'm continuing it because I realize it's a vertical that works, and I realize that people watch it.
And then think about it. Like, we're going to do Forever Power 5, our college football show, live this year because we saw the audience numbers come in for it. Remember, you and Nick D did a stream on
Jerome Moore the evening he was fired.
You guys had 800 plus people watching you for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's a significant number. Like, I don't know if you would have gotten 800 plus people if that was taped, depending on when it was put out.
I don't think so. I think by the time it was put out, it would have been old news.
Right, and that's what live. And remember, I said this a while ago. Live was it was a sin to do live stuff. If you remember years ago. Now it's the thing. So
because when I came in, the only way you could do live stuff was Facebook Live, and that was it. And you had no interest in doing that because you knew Facebook wasn't a driver. That's why you did.
And now it's a complete dud. Facebook, like people don't even use Facebook to post stuff anymore. But I don't know. So I feel bad for the people at SI, and then Yahoo Sports had some layoffs, and the name that stood out to me, which I'm sure you know from the NFL circles, Charles Robinson.
Yeah.
Charles Robinson was at Yahoo Sports for 20 years.
And Charles Robinson, as you know, isn't one of those guys to go out and publicly make his voice known. He was very much one of those guys that was very much into getting the story right and being very proper about things instead of making himself the center of attention. So I'm sure that was very difficult for him.
And by the way,
and I mean that in the most complimentary way possible. So,
and by the way, we just we're teetering back and forth, but we hit 200 people that were coming in to watch this.
Now
show
we're
today.
at over 200. We're at 202. Shout out to the 202 people on here. And I don't know if this is ironic or not, but 202 people on June 2nd sounds good to me. So
yeah. But you know what? I feel bad for the industry. Charles Robinson, 20 years. Here's what bothers me. Someone who works at a company for a long period of time, and you don't have the respect that instead you just lay these guys off or fire them. And by the way, and I've had this conversation with my father before, laying off is getting fired. You know what I mean? Like, people say, oh, well, layoff is different than fire. No, it's a nice way of saying you got fired, right?
I mean, I don't know if I'd go that far, but it is another, let's just say it's another cadence to say it's time to move on, and we've moved in a different direction. That's how I would frame it. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say fired. I would say that you're just moving in a different direction.
I mean, Charles Robinson will be fine. I think he'll find a new place. But here's the ironic part. So Yahoo just how long ago was it?
Like almost a week ago.
No. They created the live vertical channel that they created. That has all
within the last year or so.
Like that Yahoo TV or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
So like they brought on like Ariel Hawani, like Uncrowned, like
right to do Uncrowned, yeah.
And they have that on the distribution channel. They have Kevin O'Connor, who they brought in as an NBA guy. They hired Kelly Iko and Dan Wolkin. They brought in Ross Dellinger and Nate Tice from On3.
Right, which, by the way, I've been in the same room as Dan Wolkin before, and that guy works very hard. He's very, very good at what he does.
I heard he's a little odd, though.
He is, but he does ask good questions and stuff. But yeah. He works extremely hard.
But what's interesting, you notice that Yahoo now is working through a bunch of licensing and distribution. Now, it's not their stuff, so to speak. Like I think they made a deal with On3, like for all their content to work through Yahoo.
That's correct.
And then like they added Taylor Twellman to do World Cup coverage. They claimed that the layoffs were not money related, by the way. Then what is it for? Why would you lay off people then if it's not money related? Right?
I don't know. Yeah, and if I was a Yahoo employee, I would be very, very disappointed in seeing that.
But I don't know. I feel bad for Yahoo Sports. I feel bad for I don't feel bad for them. I feel bad for the people who got laid off by these companies. And unfortunately, I think more layoffs are just coming by the day, unfortunately. And everyone's gonna have to pivot and start doing stuff on their own if they want to survive in the industry.
Yeah, that's well said.
But all right, quickly, let's move on. I want to get to the Brandon Sorsby situation because this was a big story. So there's more legal woes now for Brandon Sorsby. So currently, what do you think about Brandon Sorsby in the situation? Because there's been quite a few updates on this story.
It's a sad situation. I mean, we're living in an era now where the gambling crisis is larger than ever. It's now reaching the collegiate athletics scene, and I'm not saying that Sorsby is a victim because I don't think he is. I think he has a serious problem, but I think it just goes to show that gambling has harsher effects than people realize, and I think that's the sad part.
So, just as an update, since we last did the show,
I just don't, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I just don't understand how a conjunction helps the situation at all. I think it makes the situation worse, where it almost accepts that his gambling was okay when it clearly wasn't.
Well, so asking for the injunction was
or injunction, yeah, exactly.
Was ridiculous in every way, shape, or form. The guy
makes no sense.
Makes
no sense at all.
And I just want to look this up because the number was stunning. So Brandon Sorsby made $90,000 in total bets. Okay.
According to which source again?
So this was like from front office and a bunch of other sources. So $90,000 in impermissible sports wagers across his college career at Indiana, Cincinnati, and Texas Tech. And he made bets on everything, including some weird things like Romanian soccer, Turkish basketball, and of course, Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
And of course, the UFC as well.
Well, that's normal stuff like UFC.
No, right. But Nick, to some people, though, UFC is still very much one of those niche things that people don't really talk about.
But here's the other weird thing about this situation, too. Since transferring to Texas Tech, in a state where online betting is illegal, by the way.
No, I know.
Sorsby sent approximately $5,000 through a Venmo or Zelle to
Ooh, that's bad.
other individuals who placed bets on his behalf. That's not allowed.
No, it's not.
Texas Tech then announced on April 27th, about 2 weeks after being notified by the NCAA, because whichever sports book he did it notified the NCAA when he did it.
Yeah.
Sorsby took an indefinite leave of absence for gambling addiction, completed a 35-day program, and then was close to returning to campus where he could participate in off-season workouts. Here's the problem. You and I had this discussion before we started.
How can he even be remotely allowed to participate in anything? He's screwing himself.
And here's the other thing. Texas Tech filed a petition to get him back.
It's unreal.
So if I'm reading that correctly, and if I'm wrong, tell me. But it sounds like Texas Tech is basically saying we're okay with him breaking the rules.
I don't know if I go that far, but what they are accepting is they want to be a support valve for him. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that they're okay with him breaking the rules. I don't think any collegiate program would be okay with any of their athletes breaking the rules. But what they do want is they want him to get the help that he needs.
Yeah, but if
I know.
But wait
a
minute. But wait a minute. If they're filing a petition to get him back on the field, wouldn't that be basically saying we're okay with him breaking the rules?
In a sense, yeah, but the rest of the motive as to why they want him to play again, I think all the chips are stacked against him to where he shouldn't be allowed to play again.
So Sorsby and his lawyer filed a lawsuit the same day Texas Tech ruled him ineligible, a necessary step before the school could initiate the process to seek his reinstatement. Texas Tech filed that request for reinstatement the following day on May 19th. The NCAA denied it on May 22nd. And now there's a huge battle for injunction. This guy needs to go get serious help.
I think so too.
How can he remotely think about playing football right now?
He can't.
And if I'm not mistaken, the lawyer is trying to pressure and force the decision so that he can possibly be drafted in the supplemental draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you and I both know that the odds of someone being successful in the NFL out of the supplemental draft is minuscule, if zero.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think this is so wrong. And for some people on this network to say that they have no problem with him making bets, even as a red shirt,
which is just so wrong. It's wrong. It's completely wrong.
And I think it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous that people are trying to let him off the hook and say, hey, well, he should be allowed to play. No, you've said this to me many times, that you sign an agreement as a college athlete.
You do. And you sign an agreement as someone who's even a student employee working in the athletics department, which is something I had to do when I was in school. And you sign a literal piece of paper to where if you don't sign it, either you can't play or you can't work under whatever department it is that you're supposed to work under for that semester or for that year or whatever the case is. They take it extremely seriously. At least when I used to do it.
The one last damning thing I will read on this, and this is the first time I'm seeing this. So, and believe it or not, I'm actually reading Pro Football Talk, which you know I can't stand whatsoever. So the documents show between December 25th, 2023 and June 23rd, 2025, Sorsby provided more than $60,000 to a friend to deposit into a FanDuel account registered to his brother-in-law and was shared by Sorsby and a friend. Really? Like, really?
It's terrible, man. It's absolutely terrible.
By the way,
the people that were just allowing it to happen from his internal circle, think about this from a moral ethics standpoint. Do those people truly care about him if that's what they were doing the entire time?
Hell no, they're not. I mean, first of all, as a college athlete, where the hell are you getting $60,000 that fast?
Right. Well, to be fair though, in this NIL era, some of these athletes can make a lot of money now. Though.
Yeah, but you do realize he screwed himself out of a $5 million NIL deal for doing this, right?
No, I'm completely aware of that. I'm just saying from a general standpoint now in this NIL era, now earning money is easier than ever if you do it the right way. He clearly chose not to do that. So,
And that's what I find wild. Just that $60,000, he gave up the potential of a $5 million NIL deal, the
which w-
potential of
which would
okay.
have set him up for a very long time. Would have set him up for a long time.
If he would just have controlled himself. Now, I'm not saying gambling addiction should be something that we poo-poo. Like, it's a tough thing. Gambling is like alcohol addiction in a lot of ways. Like, if you once you start doing it, it's hard to kick the
Yeah,
habit.
which to be fair, I have not placed a regular bet in a very long time. And just from a personal standpoint, speaking of myself, I don't really miss it at all. And there are some people where they can't go a day without placing a literal wager on something.
I mean,
So,
I like it from time to time, but I don't do it enough to
right.
like some people who are volume bettors, like they do it every day. I couldn't do that. That would make me nuts.
hmm
Um, but I feel bad for Sorsby slightly, but at the same time, I don't because he did this to himself. He could have had a full NFL career if he just controlled himself in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. But
Yep.
it is what it is. And we'll just unfortunately have to see what happens. Um, you want to just make a quick comment because I think this story is going to go out of news. Just make a quick comment about this.
Oh, sure. So, yeah, I mean, the simple fact of the matter is it's very much looking like the Bears are going to go to Indiana unless something drastic changes. And let me just say this, it's really unfortunate. Really unfortunate. Just from a Chicago standpoint for the city, as a fan of the Bears, as a follower of the Bears, it's extremely, extremely disappointing. So I guess the only thing I can really say is for now at least, cherish the Bears in Chicago while you can, because there's not going to be that much time left. And I guess welcome to Indiana unofficially. Hopefully they can figure something out, but it's just so agonizing that both sides, the Bears and lawmakers, are doing all they can to just confuse the fan base even more. And that's the part that I'm so disappointed in. It has nothing to do with right, left, center politics or any of that. It's just about what is morally right, which is you don't take the most historic franchise in the NFL and take them out of the city. And that's all I really have to say about it.
Yeah, I feel bad for Bears fans, especially since we have how many? 4 Bears fans on this network. So I feel bad for Bears fans because that travel is probably not easy either, getting to the game if they go to Indiana.
No, it's certainly not. And even from my house, it takes an hour and a half with traffic and stuff like that. So,
Wait, right now it takes an hour and a half?
yeah, if there's bad traffic, it can take a while.
Holy crap. Wow.
So, yeah.
So if it
Yeah.
goes to Indiana, it's probably going to be even longer, right?
Yep.
Oh, man. Well, that'll do it for the first live episode of Empty the Bench. Thank you to the 217 people who are in here watching the show today. It's gladly appreciated. If you like what you're watching, go over to youtube.com/ETB Network. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell because we are going to be live in this time slot going forward. 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time. We've been looking to do this for a little while, so now you're going to see us in this spot. We think of this spot eventually when we get to the NFL season, we'll be able to react to Monday Night Football and some other stuff that comes up. Originally, we were going to do Monday, but we didn't want to kind of disrupt over Monday Night Football.
No, we didn't, which I think was a better decision anyway.
So you'll see us here every Tuesday going forward, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, where we'll get to all the latest news and headlines. You might see some breaking stuff. Like, for instance, we didn't get to it, but Serena Williams unretired. We didn't even get to that. That broke yesterday. She's 44 years old coming back to play tennis. So you're going to see us break news from time to time when we're in this live slot. But go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, whether it's this show, which we're live now, eventually when Bando's Breakdowns will be live in about 4 episodes or so, which I think the plan we talked about was Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. We're looking at, you're going to take the old MMA Outsiders spot going forward. So everything will be live officially in 4 weeks or so. So check it out. Check everything out we're doing. Anything to say before we go?
Not really. Just enjoy the rest of your guys' week. Enjoy the beginning of the NBA Finals. I'm looking forward to seeing where we're at next week on episode 321. Thanks to everyone who tuned in today.
Yeah, thank you to everybody that tuned in. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. The 220 people are in. Thank you. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Have a good one, everyone. Thanks. Cheers.